Greetings, Aaron. Here's a critique for your first two projects. This image I find quite interesting and intriguing. I like the, I like all this negative space around him and the blurriness of him. I get the sense of this ball and then this shadow. The one thing I wish there was just a little bit more contrast to make the shadow just pop out a little bit more. To be careful not to get too much contrast on the legs here in particular. But I think a little contrast adjustment here, higher contrast, would help that image quite a bit. This image is really nice. I just like this, the white dress moving about and the hair whipping around, and then the staticness of this environment, how she's kind of in between this tree here and this tree, almost parenthetical in there, and then the swinging of this thing around. It's really interesting, engaging composition. This one I'm less engaged with. It's kind of interesting. I see the form and the playing with the light here, and I like the sharpness here and the softness here. But overall, I'm kind of left a little flat looking at it, and doesn't pique my interest as much as far as wanting to know more about the situation. I think it would help if I had a little bit of environmental information here, just a little bit. It just seems kind of black, 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 and there's nothing else here, and I'm just left with this multicolored object, which, for me, I'm not fully engaged with. This, I don't know, I might like this one better. I'm not quite sure, but I think I have a similar criticisms of this one as I had of the last one. I like a little environmental information. You get a little something here, but I really want something more. To me, the strength of painting with light is the interaction between the objective and this weird sort of light phenomenon here. And I do see the objective object here in the light, but I don't know, it's just not working as well for me there. This image is very nice. I like this a lot. This is their first project, the Identity project. I think it's really interesting. Very nice structure. Good. I mean, it's a great photograph. It's very intriguing. I like the reflections and seeing through the glass and the relationship of figures to these figures. It just works very well. I think overall your first portfolio turned out really well. Again, I like this composition here. I like the light, the shadows, the water on here, the sun, the little starburst look it gets from going through that aperture, the negative space. It's just a really well organized composition, as all the first projects were. This one, I like the voyeuristic characteristics of it. I think the autofocusness here helps, and then seeing the structure of the buildings back there and the horizontal lines here, as well the horizontals here, and then the contrasting verticals. Again, a very nicely constructed composition, very engaging. This one is works out. It's probably the weakest out of all of them. It's still interesting. It seems a little overexposed, but I do like all this negative space here and the interaction of the trees and bushes and such. Just not quite as overall well executed as the other images were. All right, so there we have that. Hopefully you get some from those. We'll move along and critique one more person here. All right, so Jessica, here's your critique for your first two projects. Let's see, you have the shutter speed composition, and I really love this composition. I think it's so interesting. The sort of, it almost vibrates. The legs almost vibrate, and the contrast between the static. Again, these are almost like parenthetical things. We have the wood here and the wood here, and then the human form here, and I like the light shooting across the carpet there, and then the legs that almost sort of vibrate. And I just, I have just enough information to see what they are, and then all this stuff around them. It is a really interesting, compelling photograph, and I think it works both in color and in grayscale. I might like it just a titch better in color, actually, but I think it's a great photograph. This one, not so much. I'm not as engaged with this one. It just seems to be what it is. And part of it is that flash, which is I often refer to the on-camera flash as a brute light force, the brute light source, brute force light source. It just it does what it does, and it doesn't do it very aesthetically. I think that is part of this image. I mean, compositionally, this line here and the foot here are kind of interesting, but I don't think it comes together with the environment that surrounds it. Where the previous image, everything really worked. This one, like, I do actually like compositionally this and this, but I don't think they work in the environment. And the lights just not appealing, but that often happens with the flash. The panning here, this is, I would actually like more space, I think, around the tractor. It's fairly good. It's a little blurry, and it could be a little better if you followed it around. But overall, I think the problem here is it's just too tightly in on this. And if we got a little bit more space, a little more blurriness in front of this and behind this, I think it would become a stronger composition. And the grayscale, I think, is the same. It's not better or weaker. It just is. Now this is actually quite nice. Really like the setup here. I like the light. I like the glass. I like the lid being here. I like the highlight here. Maybe just a little bit blown out. Technically bad, but there's such a nice softness of light here. Moving up here, I like that the negative space is kind of, this top is just kind of dissolves into black, but down here we get this little bit of information. Yeah, I think that one's nicely well done. And I think it works well in black and white and color too. I actually prefer the previous one more than this one. This one seems a little too cluttered for me. Stuff here and here and here, and I'm not sure where to focus on all this stuff going on. The other one had a very nice, crisp, clean focus and a nice play with light. There's a nice play with light here too. Again, I like the lighting here. This is actually a little bit out of focus, so I would definitely stick with the previous image with the painting with light. Everything comes together. Maybe if we got rid of this stuff out here, it would be better. This is nice though. I like how you're playing with the light. Again, I'm not sure if this is necessary. You could almost crop that out. You could just cut it off right there. But I like this play here and here. So that one turned out pretty well. Grayscale, yeah, same thing. There's one of these I think that I really liked. I don't know if you put it up here, but we'll see. This is good too. See here, I like the interaction of the light behind the shoes here. I think that works. It didn't work in the previous image, but these are quite nice. And it works in grayscale or color. There's good interaction too. I like this sort of the brownish tint to this grayscale. This one's, it's almost overexposed. We're losing contrast in the shoe here. There's a lack of sharpness. I think it's just too much light going into the lens, and it's kind of like fogging the whole image a little bit. So that one's not quite as successful. It seems actually a little bit better in grayscale though, when we look at it. All right. Well, it seems all for those. Let's move on and take a look at your first project. I'm going to do that. Down here. All right, and let's look at the next. So Jessica, self-portraits. I think I may have critiqued the wrong thing in the last one. Anyway, okay. This is kind of an interesting image, though I wish the hand were a little bit sharper, but I like the structure. It seems a little eerie. Though I think that this is a really engaging image. Nice. I love it looks like you're shooting through glass, and I get this sort of texture on top of this, and your gaze out here, and it's a very compelling image. The facial expression communicates a lot. It's like a thoughtfulness there, something going on. So, and I think that image works really well. This one, not quite as interesting, but I think still successful as the previous one. I don't like the big square here, and that seems to be from the Flash or something, I would guess. Um, but uh, but I like the structure, I like the hands and the words. This bothers me just a little bit. It seems a little too stark in contrast with everything else, stark and geometric. This one needs more contrast. It's a little flat, and I think this image can be really engaging if we could just pump up contrast on it a little bit. More blacks. It needs more blacks. I really like this image. Again, it's kind of similar to the other one. I like the texture, like the dirty window, and then you get your direct confrontational gaze with camera. I like the fact that you're just off center here to the right, and you have this tree here, and this other tree balancing that out. I think there's a really nice compositional balance. Really nice photograph. Well done. This one's a little bit more playful, a little less serious, but it's still, I think, an interesting, well-done photograph. Lacks some of the emotional intensity that I think I appreciate in the previous image. In this image, I do kind of like too. I wish that it was dead on. See, there's just a slight angle down here at the bottom of the photograph, just that slight angle. I think if we could got that squared up perfectly, I would really like this oven and the window and this thing. There's this nice balance between them. And it's good as it is, but I think it would be even better if we just got it straight, dead on photograph. All right, so, well, those are some of my thoughts on projects. I think you're doing a good job. Keep it up.